Material handling. In this presentation, we're going to discuss handling materials and the importance of doing it properly, types of ergonomic improvements available, lifting guidelines, loading and emptying guidelines, carrying guidelines, handling guidelines, proper workstation setup, and identifying potential problems with your material handling. What is material handling? According to NIOSH, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, it's basically seizing, holding, grasping, turning, or working with the hands to lift, lower, fill, empty, or carry containers or objects. Basically picking things up and moving them manually, or using aids and other objects to pick up things other than like a fork truck. But material handling can be very dangerous, and there are a lot of injuries associated with this. Ergonomics is important in the workplace because it reduces or prevents injuries from grasping loads. It decreases unnecessary lifting, handling, and reaching, pushing, and pulling. It reduces risk factors associated with bending and twisting while picking up things. It avoids maintaining a fixed position for a long period of time, which can cause a lot of fatigue. And most important, it increases productivity, morale, and reduces injuries. There are a lot of different ways that you can improve an operation from an ergonomic standpoint. There are engineering improvements, which might include rearranging, modifying, or redesigning your workstation, or using additional equipment, machines, tools, or materials to help get the task completed with less physical effort. There's also administrative improvements, things like alternating heavy tasks with light tasks, and taking rest periods between tasks. General handling guidelines. Check the weight of what it is you're about to pick up. Know what the weight is. Test it. Make sure it's stable. It's not going to fall apart when you pick it up. Make sure that it has a center of gravity, that you know where it's at. You want to wear appropriate shoes to avoid slipping and tripping and falling. It's a common problem and cause of injury for people when they're carrying something and they slip and fall down. If it hurts your hands, you want to wear gloves that fit properly. And lift only as much as you can handle. If the load's real heavy, get some help. You want to keep the load in your power zone or your core. This is the area above your knees and below your shoulders and close to your body. Exercise caution while lifting unstable loads. Get a secure grip with both hands before you go to pick something up. And do it in a smooth, even motion, using your legs to lift up the load. Avoid using your back. Here's a good example of somebody picking up something from the floor. Notice how they get right over top of it. They spread their legs apart, grab it. They pick it up high enough to where they can get a good grip underneath it and get it up close to their body at the knee level. Then at that point, they stand straight up and never bend their back. Very important when you're lifting to avoid bending your lower back. When you're at a height and you're working and you're trying to raise things up, there's all kind of opportunities for equipment. You have scissors lift, which can raise and lower things. You can use a turntable, which will allow you to turn the objects right over to where you're working at, so you don't have to reach real far, bend over and reach. Loading and emptying guidelines are some other things too. You can use a step stool, catwalk, pneumatic scissors lift to raise things up or lower them down. You can use mobile scissors lift or a stationary scissors lift. You can even just stack a bunch of empty pallets on the ground and have your materials set up there so you're not having to constantly bend over to reach them. Carrying is another area where people are injured while material handling. You want to avoid carrying large loads that obstruct your vision. Carry only as much as you can safely handle alone. Avoid slopes and stairs while carrying things manually. And be very aware of slippery surfaces. You want to keep the loads as close to your body as possible. Make sure you have a clear view of the path in front of you. Use two hands to carry objects. And exercise caution when handling unsteady loads. You want to use handles or grips so you can grab a hold of things. You want to hold containers close to your body. And use smaller containers versus really large ones that are excessively heavy. When you're handling individual containers, lots of options. Rather than lifting or pouring out of a drum, you can insert a siphon or a pump. You can use hooks or something like that to grab lightweight objects and pull them over to you. And there's all kinds of material handling devices to help you pick up and move heavy things within your work area. You have drum dollies, you have carts, platform trucks, hand trucks, conveyors, chutes, hand pallet trucks, cranes, stackers, airball tables, forklifts, carousels, tilter. It's very important to not try to lift something too heavy or too bulky, and to use appropriate material handling devices when things are too heavy for somebody to lift manually. Your workstation setup is critical. You want to maintain a clean workspace free of obstacles, spills, and elevation changes if possible. It's very common for people to not be maintaining their area, have a little poor housekeeping, and while they're carrying something, step, twist their ankle, fall down. You want to utilize non-skid cushioned floors or shoes. Make sure the lighting's adequate. Make sure your workstation is at a comfortable height so you're not constantly having to bend over or reach for things. You want to identify problem jobs. Are the weights of the loads to be lifted manageable? Are the materials moved over a minimum distance? Are you having to walk an excessive distance to get things on a regular basis? Is the distance between the object load and the body minimized? Are walking surfaces level? Are objects easy to grasp? Are there handholds on these objects? Does lifting the objects hurt your hands? Are you wearing the proper shoes? Is there enough room to maneuver? Are there mechanical aids available when needed? Are working surfaces adjustable to the best height so you're not constantly having to reach up or bend over to get things that you need on a regular basis? Does material handling avoid movements outside of your power zone? Is help available when you need to lift heavy objects? And are high rates of repetition avoided by rotating jobs? Are pushing or pulling forces reduced or eliminated? Do you have an unobstructed view of handling the task? Are you trained in correct handling and lifting procedures? Are you having problems? If you are, notify your supervisor and see if you can work out a good solution so that you're not fatigued, not having to lift things that are too heavy, and that things are better for you on a daily basis. If you have any questions or needs regarding your material handling, please feel free to call Applied Risk Solutions. We're here to help. Thank you.